Hi, you're listening to Abbacadabra Radio. This podcast is for my conscious creator friends, my manifesting besties. This is part stream of consciousness, part talking with people who love to talk about conscious creation, manifestation, spiritual things, anything in between. And it is my hope that through this podcast, I expand my own awareness and understanding of myself, and you guys do too. I am happy to have you guys here along for the ride. Hello, my conscious creator friends. Welcome back to yet another episode of Abbacadabra Radio. I'm your host, Abby, and I am so excited that you're here. Coming at you guys from a different place right now. This is my fiance, my boyfriend's art area, and it seemed like a good backdrop. I have time to record, so here we are. Before I get started with today's episode, I want to remind you guys that on the website you can sign up for reality creation consulting, which is one-on-one coaching with me. You can get the blueprint, the 30-day alignment method to align with your desires. I have 3 different hypnosises, one of which is the opening up to love hypnosis, one is aligning with money hypnosis, and the last one is an identity shifting hypnosis, which gives you the permission to show up in a way that you've been waiting to, but for some reason maybe haven't. Maybe you're looking for some sort of outside permission slip. This is going to give you that. So there's those 3. I have a conscious creation workbook, which is a really good way to get started and get to the meat of what you want. I have an opening up to money masterclass, which is a 3-day video masterclass getting to the root of money, your relationship with it, and shifting in order to attract more, manifest more, get more. And I have a timeline shifting audio, a guided audio to put you through, guide you through a successful timeline shift. All of those are on abbacadabra.com. You can go visit that after the episode. Let's get into it. So yes, I'm engaged. Very, very exciting. That's not necessarily what this episode is going to be about, but it is the entire process and the lead up. I will get into that a little bit because today we're talking about getting out of your own way. Because sometimes we're in our own way. And I have great examples as to how I've been in my own way. So that's what this episode is going to be about. Buckle up. I think one of the most key parts of getting out of your own way is being able to let go of what you expected it to be. Think back to childhood, to your teenage years, to what you thought your life was going to be, to what you visualized, to what you thought was for you. And maybe your life doesn't look like that right now. Maybe it looks really, really different. Maybe you went through things and changed your perspective. Maybe you got new hobbies. Maybe you had different things happen that you realized, I want this instead of that. Or something didn't work out in a way you expected it to. And now you're like, I need to reroute. I need to figure out where I'm going. That happens. That's part of being human. Things aren't going to look exactly how we expect. They're not. That's not for us to decide. And being able to let go of how things play out is, for me, very, very challenging, but very crucial in successful manifestation and successful alignment. Because when you are coming from a place of, it has to look like this or I won't accept it. It has to look like this or I can't believe it. It needs to be this way and unfold this way or it doesn't mean X, Y, and Z. Yeah. Don't do that to yourself. Please don't do that to yourself, because you're doing yourself a massive disservice and keeping yourself in that tiny, tiny, tiny scope of, I can only see what I believe, I can only see what I perceive, and I won't accept anything outside of that. So you close the lens. You make the lens shrink. Right now, or not right now, when you have the ability to see things as neutral, everything is open. The world becomes your oyster. When you start saying it has to look this way, it must be that way, it's got to unfold like this, you shrink that lens. You shrink the scope of how you can see things, of how you can perceive things, of how you can accept things. And then you're looking through like a tiny keyhole sized pinhole, and it limits everything you're able to see. If you look at it that way, putting the idea of getting out of your own way seems a lot more like something you'd actually want to do, and letting go of the control or the stronghold on reality is something that you're going to want to do. Is it always easy? No, I've had issues with it. I'm going to be honest. I expected, my life to look a certain way by a certain time. And it didn't look that way when I hit that certain time. And I started panicking, thinking, oh no, this means I'm less than. Oh no, other people are doing this. Oh no, I thought I'd be doing this. And when I look at my life the way it is right now, I love it. Things are great. I don't have anything to complain about. It just doesn't look the way that I expected it to. It doesn't look the way I planned for it to. It doesn't look the way I, in teenage years, wanted it to. And that's fine. It's still a great life. It's still amazing. But if I kept looking through the lens of what I previously wanted, I'd be unhappy. I'd be depressed. I'd be in a very lack-based mindset. And that's fine. But I don't like dwelling there. I don't like dwelling in lack. I like dwelling in possibility. I like dwelling in what is working. I like dwelling in gratitude for the most part. So you got to get out of your own way. You got to let things be how they are. And it's really important to remember you can't control other people. Anybody outside of yourself, you cannot control. You can't. You can't control how they're going to see you. You can't control how they're going to respond to different things. And that's a great thing because we all have different perspectives. We all have different lives. We all have different realities. But when you can come from a neutral place of accepting what other people might be seeing in a non-judgmental way and a no, it's got to look like this way, it becomes a lot easier to navigate any time that you and another person aren't necessarily aligning. Just because you and another person don't see eye to eye doesn't mean that that person is wrong, doesn't mean that you are wrong. Like, there have been many situations in my life where if I'm talking to someone and maybe we don't see eye to eye, we come to a place where we're like, okay, I'm thinking this, you're thinking that. Both can be true, actually. Both can be true. And that's fine. Like, I think about when I'm going to get married. My mom's not going to be there. And there's an aspect of me that can be very, very sad and very, very upset. There's an aspect of me that can feel like the day is magical anyway. There's a part of me that is accepting of the fact that, like, there might be a little bit of a feeling of a void, but it's not going to be the end of the world. And I know my mom will make her presence known to me leading up to it, just like she did the day of my engagement. So if I expected it to look like my mom's going to be there, she's going to be involved in everything, well, I'd be freaking out right now because she's not here and she's not going to be here. And I can't control that. Letting go of the need to control, to dictate, to micromanage reality gives you the opportunity to let it be freaking good. Better than you can imagine. Absolutely better than you can imagine. And it's going to be better than you can imagine because we can only fathom a very small possibility of reality. Like, what you can think of as the best thing for yourself, your higher self knows something that's 10 times better than that you're worth, that they are working towards giving you, towards guiding you. So do not limit yourself by saying it's gotta look like this or it's not right. I have to see it this way or it's not gonna work. You have to agree with me or it's not correct. No. Let things be. That's what I've been working on over the last few weeks is let things be. And working on releasing that, stronghold. And this is a process. I think for anybody who's in the reality creation world, it's a process to let go of your old self. It's a process to let go of what you thought life was going to be. It's a process to let go of, like, old relationships, people, like, everything. It's a process. It's not an overnight thing. I've had people reach out and ask about, like, how do I become that new version of me? And a very big part of that, I think, is allowing yourself to accept the old version. To accept the part of you that might be a little chaotic, that might be a little micromanagey, that might be a little bit sometimes, that might be loud, that might take up a lot of space, that might like to take up a tiny bit of space. Whatever it is, that version of you that you are right now, that old version is fine. Is fine. And when you can accept that, that's when making that next step to change is going to be significantly easier because in acceptance, there's growth. 9 times out of 10, not even, 10 times out of 10, when I've come to accept a situation, there has always been growth in that, whether it's a change in my perspective, a change in what's playing out, a change in how I navigate the next thing moving forward. And there's learning, and that's a great thing. So please keep that in mind. Like, even if you go through contrast, even if you go through less than ideal situations, that's going to benefit you. When you start looking at those moments of, oh no, of, if you start looking at them like, there's benefit in this. You're going to find the benefit. If you only see limitations and lack, that's all you're going to continue to see. But if you start to adopt the mindset that ultimately you're taking care of, I know this is stuff that I've been talking about over the last few weeks, but in getting out of your own way, there has to be an acceptance, and there has to be an aspect of being able to go neutral and accept things for what they are. And like I said, for me, in order to change for me who I was to who I am to who I'm going to be, there's an aspect of acceptance and being okay and being neutral with how I've been showing up. And like, I think about when I get angry or frustrated in the world and I have like some sort of big reaction to it, maybe emotional, maybe a blow up, who knows? It happens. It's fine. When I come from that place, I feel like afterwards, for like a little while afterwards, not as long as it used to be, I feel like I have to tell people why. I have to justify why I acted that way. I have to justify why I'm angry. I have to justify why I'm upset, when you don't have to do that. You don't have to do that. And by holding on to having to do that, you are keeping that vibration active. You are keeping that vibration alive. You are keeping things that are like that thing that made you angry, that pissed you off. You're keeping them coming towards you. Because if I told you to look for everything blue in the room right now, close your eyes, tell me what was green, you can't do it because you were looking for blue. You can't see happiness because you were looking for frustration. You can't see frustration because you were looking for happiness. Like, they're not going to compute. And this, I'm just understanding this reality creation. Like, I say these things all the time, but I am seeing it in real time. Like, the shifts will happen. They do happen. They can be instant. I talked about this in it was a TikTok. It wasn't, was it? I don't think it was an actual podcast episode. Yeah. You guys know from the last episode that I've dove into Florence Scovel Shinn, and I've gotten a lot of great things out of her work. And I have in the past, but every time I revisit something, I get something new out of it. So I'll reread Neville Goddard. I'll reread Florence Scovel Shinn. I'll re-listen to Bashar Talks, re-listen to Abraham Hicks, to videos I used to listen to. And every time I do, I get something new. Like today, I was listening to Abraham Hicks and I heard there's always a potential for joy. And that struck such a chord with me that I was like, huh, yeah. And it like gave me new life. So that's why I listen to that stuff all the time, because it keeps me in that, you got this. Anyway, I was talking about instantaneous shifts, and we are talking about getting out of your own way. In order to have an instantaneous shift, getting out of your own way is really, really, really important, because you have to let go of what you thought, of what you expected, of what you need in order to move forward. There is a lot of power in accepting, I am where I am, and that's enough. Traffic. Traffic is the example. How many times have I talked about traffic, and when I accept and neutralize the person in front of me, they will either turn, they will either speed up, or it won't bother me anymore, because now I'm not focusing on someone being slow in front of me. Now I'm focusing on the fact that this is allowed and it might be for my best interest, because things are always working out for me. And when you start coming from that place of, this might be annoying right now, but it's allowed and it's going to work for me. It's going to benefit me. It's going to be exactly what I need it to be. That's what you're going to see. That's what you're going to have happen. And it's going to be very, very fast. But in that, you have to accept where you are, truly, completely, and totally. And that might take some time. And if it takes time for you, that's okay. It doesn't have to be instantaneous. We are here forever. We are eternal. We are infinite. We are expanding. I know we're in a body right now on Earth in the 3D reality, but then, eventually, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what happens when we go. I have ideas of what I think happens, but do I know that that's true? I don't, so I can't. Anyway, being able to be where you are and say, that's enough right now, and truly feel that's enough right now. It's funny because you're not expecting changes, but then things just magically start skewing your way, going in your favor, because you're like, no, it's enough. This is enough. This is great. Where I live right now is great. Everything that I'm doing in my life right now is great. Is great. When I really look at things, do I have anything to really complain about? I have a job, I have a roof over my head, I have my health, my family has their health, I have air in my lungs, the sun came up this morning, it's beautiful outside. What do I have to worry about? I live on a planet that provides for me. Gravity keeps me grounded to the planet. I'm fine. And where I am right now is really great, and I know some really great people, and I have great people in my life, and there's a lot to be thankful for when you can get into that mindset of, yeah, this is good. This is good. You're gonna see things keep getting good, and then better, and then better. But you have to let it not look how you necessarily expected it to. Okay? Like, for me, in the experience of my engagement, I am not gonna make that a personality trait it did just happen, and I am navigating some different things that I wasn't expecting in that. So I am going to talk about it this episode, but no, it is not going to be just like every part of who I am all the time. Don't worry. And even if it was, that would be fine in the moment. That's fine. However, what I'm navigating right now in this very new time for me is I have had a lot of people give me a lot of really positive attention, which is great, and it is overwhelming, and it's too much sometimes. It's a great thing. It's a very happy thing. I'm just not used to that to the degree that it is when you get married and have a baby. It's not a bad thing. It's a great thing, and it's brought up some parts of me that I'm like, okay, I'm feeling weird about this. Why? What part of me is afraid to be visible? What part of me is afraid to have this attention? What part of me is afraid to navigate this, or like is uncomfortable to navigate this? And with every good thing, you're gonna have some of those moments of, I don't know, it's gonna feel a little stressful, it's gonna feel a little weird, it might feel a little contrasting, you might not actually like some of the attention or whatever in my example. That's just a way, it's just data. It's just a way for you to explore, okay, what would I prefer? Can I lean into that? Or if I'm looking at it this way, can I start shifting how I'm perceiving that energy that I'm taking as overwhelming? I'm doing this in real time. Maybe I can take that idea of this is overwhelming as there's a lot of people who might not even be directly in my life, might be on the outskirts of my life, who can be really happy for me when it has nothing to do with them. That's what it is. That's a weird thing to accept for me. And y'all just saw me come to that in real time. So, wow. Never a dull moment on Abbacadabra Radio, right? And I'm gonna keep that in because that's raw and that's an aspect of myself. And if I start shifting and instead of the overwhelm, I can be like, no, people are happy. People want to share in your good fortune. People want to see you do well. People want to see you succeed. Okay, that's a good thing. Now I can look at the parts of me that don't think that way, don't accept that way, and say, what are you doing? Where do you come from? Did you come from childhood? Did you come from something that happened 10 years ago? Are you willing to shift it? Are you willing to get out of your own way? And here we are, looped back to where we started, getting out of your own way. I have to do it all the time. I do. And I share it because I think it helps other people. And I talk about this stuff because I hope, even if one person watches this and takes away one tiny thing, then that's amazing. That's amazing. That's great. That's the intention, is even if one person gets one little tidbit that helps them change their life, that's why I do it. And that's why I love doing it. And I have had that happen, so that's a good thing. I talked on this quite a bit longer than I was expecting, and that's another great thing. And I think that's where I'm going to leave it. If you guys have questions for the next episode, if you want me to cover any specific topics, let me know. I know in the back of my mind, I've known I need to do an episode on relationships, on love, on that. And I recorded one a few months ago, and it just like hasn't aligned with me to post it. So maybe now I will re-record and work on some content for like manifesting love and like my journey, what I did. And yeah, I think that's going to be the next one. But if you guys have other ideas, always let me know. Always let me know. So check out the website. And if you need to email me for whatever reason, abbacahdabrapod@gmail.com. I hope to hear from you guys. I love you all so much. Thank you for the support. Thank you for liking, subscribing, all of the above. Amazing. You guys are wonderful. I wish you the best. And until next time, this is Abby signing off.